5 lessons I've learned in the 5 years I've been a full-time carpenter. Hello, my name is Robert Dailey. I am the owner of Dailey Woodworks, which is a custom furniture maker located in Central Texas. We serve Texas and pretty much nationwide, building everything from Murphy beds, live edge tables, to custom indoor dog kennel furniture. My other business is the Recreational Woodworker, which is a DIY YouTube channel that's geared for teaching people how to build great furniture, just because I like doing both of those things. I started my business 5 years ago, officially. I've been doing woodworking as a hobby and as a side gig for about 6 years. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story today and share with you 5 lessons, some of them very painful, that I have learned in the 5 years I have been a full-time woodworker and carpenter. So 5 years ago, I wasn't even in the trades. I walked into work one morning. It was a Wednesday. Things seemed normal. That evening, at the end of the day, I was called into the conference room and was given the "we're letting you go" talk. Completely unexpected. I had just turned 30. Here I was, a wife, a almost 1-year-old baby boy, and now I'm out of a job. What do I do? So I did what anybody would do in that situation, is I sent out about 100 job applications. I cleaned out my office. I looked around for basically anything and everything that was hiring, but in the tiny town of about 5,000 people that I lived in way west Texas, like Tatooine almost, there was nothing there. So here I was. I got fired on a Wednesday, cleaned out my office, felt sorry for myself on Thursday. Friday, filled out about 100 job applications. The weekend was the weekend. And then Monday, I was sitting there, nothing to do, right? I went and piddled out in my shop over the weekend. I had been building some furniture on the side, selling it, not making a lot of money, enough to support a hobby, right? A lot of you who are hobbyist woodworkers watching this, your goal is to support your hobby, and that's great. I do wish y'all charge more, though, because it'd make it easier on the rest of us trying to do this full time. So raise your prices for me, all right? And I also did a little bit of handyman work on the side for people, because I did have a very brief background in the trades, and I grew up in a heavy DIY skilled labor family. So I knew how to do a lot of different things. So Monday morning, I was bored, and I was like, you know what? I need to make money. Somehow, I need to make money. I need to get money in my pocket. So here's what I'm gonna do, is I printed up this ugly flyer saying I will mow yards, I can do handyman work, I can build custom furniture. This is what I do. Luckily, I already had like a website and YouTube channel, because I was doing this hobbyist woodworker thing pretty good, and YouTube was a fun hobby. So I had a decent body of work already of things I had done. So I went around to all the different neighborhoods and put up as many flyers as I could. I stopped by everyone I knew, handed them the flyer, told them what I was doing, and I hustled up enough work. And it took off. I got in good with a guy who was remodeling an office space. He didn't pay me much. It wasn't anywhere like my business is now, but I helped build out his new office space for his HVAC company, and he really helped me out and really helped me provide for my family during this time. Long story short, we ended up moving 500 miles back to Central Texas, and yes, 500 miles from West Texas to Central Texas. That's how big Texas is. Back closer to family, and I restarted my business again. And then now, 5 years later, I'm doing really what I want, and I've hit a really good niche and a really good place where I'm really happy with where my business is. So let's get to those 5 lessons I've learned in these 5 years. Lesson number 1, get coaching. There's a proverb, and I'm gonna say it wrong, but you can Google it for the exact quote, that says, "Without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, those plans succeed." One of the great things that we have in our modern time is an overwhelming access to knowledge. You can learn anything you want to learn, essentially for free on the internet. But with the internet also comes the downsides to that of everybody and their dog wants to share their opinion with you on how you should do different things. And I'm guilty, right? Because I'm sitting here telling you 5 lessons that I've learned from running a business, and hopefully you'll follow these 5 tips that I'm giving you, right? So I'm even falling into this. And frankly, it's really hard to discern what's good advice and bad advice sometimes. And so, as always, follows the morphos of you get what you paid for. I'm part of a paid coaching group that I will go into in just a second. So what I'd tell anybody trying to start a business is to seek out experienced and successful tradesmen, business owners, and people to advise you on your business. Am I successful? It depends on how you define success. Right now, I feel pretty successful with where I'm at because I'm building the lifestyle that I want to build. So that would be another point that's add on to this is think through the lifestyle you want to build for yourself and your family, and then mold your business to provide that lifestyle. If you're like me, you like building cool things. I want to be the artisan that builds heirloom quality furniture for people. So success to me is making a really good middle-class income for my family and building really cool furniture. I don't want a lot of employees. I don't want a lot of overhead, but I do have a team, and they mostly work behind the scenes, editing my videos, keeping my books, helping me on the side with some side jobs, and a few friends who are woodworkers who do some sub work for me. But I keep it small, I keep it nimble, and to me, that's success. That's my success that I want for me and my family. For me, August of last year was kind of my breaking point. I had been doing this almost 4 years. I was working 60 hours a week. I was busy. I was selling jobs right and left, but I was barely making my payroll. I was inconsistently and not fully paying my family. About that time, when I was just at that breaking point of something's got to give. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm working all the time. I'm barely seeing my wife and kids. Things are stressed. I have a lot of anxiety. I'm not eating right. I don't feel well. Something's got to give. About that time, Tom Reber of the Contractor Fight introduced the 100K Contractor program. It's a paid coaching group with the sole purpose of helping contractors and business owners get to $100,000 a year in personal income. Sounded pretty good. I wasn't a huge follower of Tom Reber. He puts out tons of free content, so you don't have to join any paid program. You can find really good free information. But the get coaching aspect of you need to find people further down the road than you, who are smarter than you, wiser than you, listen to their advice and follow it. That can be reading books, that can be reading articles, that can be joining coaching groups, that can be joining. There's probably 100 other coaching groups out here. This is the one I'm in, and I'm happy to recommend it, and I don't get anything for saying that. I was really skeptical, right? Because whenever all of a sudden you're consuming this free content and then someone's like, pay me a few $100s a month and I'll teach you how to run a better business, you're like, I'm barely getting by. I'm not even paying my family consistently. My apprentice makes more than my wife and kids do many months of the year. How can I swing this several $100 investment to get coaching, right? So I decided I'd try it for 1 month. I would go all in that 1 month. Whatever they said to do, I would do it. And that was sales training, that was learning your numbers, that was several different things that Tom teaches in the Contractor Fight and the Contractor Sales Academy. A year and a few months later, I'm still in that program, and happily so. I was originally in both the Contractor Sales Academy and the 100K program. Now I'm only in the 100K just because that was the solution that worked better for me and the type of business I'm building, both of which are phenomenal programs and I would say are worth the investment if you've never gotten any kind of paid coaching before. So what's happened in that year and a few months? It's been a struggle. Everyone knows 2020 has been hard, but I've made the best of it. And it got worse before it got better, but then it got a lot better. I haven't missed payroll in about 6 months, and that's including my salary. I've given myself a significant raise. I'm not quite to that 100K goal yet, but I am working towards it. I'm happier overall. I enjoy my work more. I'm not as tired. I'm not as stressed. That makes me a better father. That makes me a better husband. My marriage is better. And just my quality of life is better from fixing my business. And that is due to a huge part to Tom and his team, who really go out of their way to provide value to us in that group. In this group, the one-on-one coaching that he gives, the phone calls we've had, the calls he does as a group with everyone else, you really start to see his heart for helping guys like us, because he's been there. He's been in the trades. He's not been able to pay his bills. He's not been able to provide for his family the right way. And that shows. He's been in the hard spots and helps people get to where he is now. Number 2, hire a bookkeeper. Not just any bookkeeper, but hire a professional bookkeeper. Why do you need a bookkeeper? One is accurate information. Having a profit and loss statement that accurately reflects of your cost of goods sold, your overhead, how much gross profit you've had, how much net profit you've had, accurately categorizes things for taxes and materials and all that stuff. A bookkeeper does all those things. It's wonderful once you get a good bookkeeper set up and they know what they're doing and they set up a system for you to use. They teach you how to do this, and it really just makes your life easier. Like, I'm freed up 3-4 hours a week of doing books, tracking receipts, all this stuff, because we have a system in place that frees up my time. When I finally hired a bookkeeper at the admonishment and encouragement of my business coach, she very quickly set me up on the system. She very quickly went through my records, set up a profit and loss sheet, went through all this stuff, and she was really quick and very kind to point out my non-existent profit margins. She was like, you aren't charging enough for your services to be a sustainable business. And I fought it. I was like, no one will pay me if I raise my prices the amount that you're telling me to raise my prices. I will go out of business if I raise my prices to what you're saying that I need my prices to be. And she very kindly, but very firmly said, sweetie, you're going out of business as we speak. If you keep doing what you're doing, you are slowly and painfully going to go out of business, and it's going to end up really bad because what you're doing is not sustainable. That was hard. That was hard to hear. I didn't want to hear that, but this goes back to the coaching and wise mentors of this is someone who specializes in running businesses for contractors and construction workers and skilled trades who do manufacturing and building things. She looked at it and she's like, this isn't sustainable. You need to raise your prices. And I told her, it's like, if I raise my prices, I'll go out of business. And she said, at least if you do raise your prices and go out of business, it'll be a quick and far less painful death. But the only way that you can sustain this and keep building your business is raising your prices. That was hard to hear, but I decided that I'm paying these people for advice. Perhaps I should listen to them. And I did. So today I was notified that payroll was ran. She set me up on payroll where I'm a W-2 employee of my business. My employees are W-2 employees of my business. Taxes are automatically taken out and set aside for tax season, so I don't have to worry about that. And there were no worries because we set up a system that allowed me to succeed. We raised my prices. We got the coaching. She set me up. She got it done. She keeps everything in check and lined up. So whenever it's time for payroll, there's money already set aside to pay my guys. Money's in a different place for deposits. Money's in a different place for materials. Money's in a different place for taxes. And most importantly, money's set aside for profit. And that brings me on a third point is you have to build good systems. This has come from my business coach and my bookkeeper. A good business coach and a good bookkeeper will provide you with systems that you can implement to make your business better, whether it's marketing, bookkeeping, tax preparations, things like that. One thing that my bookkeeper and I set up is the Profit First Accounting System. It's a great book by Michalowicz. And if I said his name right, I'll put a link to that below. It's a great book and you should definitely read it. The thing with systems is there's no perfect system for everybody. However, with good resources, good mentors. They can provide you with their systems. You can implement those, and then later on down the road, you can customize those systems to work for you in the way that your business functions. You know, there's always that one guy that's like, I don't like this software or this program or this system. A great example of that is your customer relationship manager. A customer relationship manager is a software that allows you to keep track of your customers, send estimates, send invoices, track payments, and do all those business related things. There's plenty of different softwares out there. I use one called Market. There's many others that all do the same thing, but using a software, using a system that helps you track your customers, track who's paid, track your future jobs, scheduling, makes your life easier. So implement systems, and those systems even help you whenever it's time to hire employees. You're like, this is the system we use. Here's how to use it. Once you do use this system, what would you change? How would you make this system better, employee? And that's not only on the business side, that also goes with your processes for production. One thing that if you follow my channel for any length of time, you know I'm a big fan of Ron Paulk, and I'm a big fan of the 2-second lean methodology of continuous improvement. And you'll see my shop is built on a system. I have my modular drawer system. I build my workbenches based on a 3x6, 34.5-inch tall workbench. That gives me a standard and a system that makes it really easy to be as productive as possible. In fact, when I hired my first employee, his first job, first and foremost, was to keep the job site and shop clean and organized, to keep everything in its place and to learn where everything was. So whenever I ask him for a pry bar, he knows exactly where it is because it's in its place. Dude, that was his first job. And then once he learned that, it was, okay, how can we improve things? And a lot of the improvements you've seen in the shop are his ideas. Things that he's done to make the business run better, to make the shop run better. Because one, I set up the systems to facilitate delegating responsibilities to those employees, and then I empower those employees to amend those systems to improve them. Point number 4, know your numbers. A good coach, a good bookkeeper, good systems will help you track your numbers. Derek Johnson, who is a sales coach at the Contractor Sales Academy and does a sales training in the 100K program, says what you track, you can kill. What does that mean? Well, it means that if you can keep up with it, if you know what it costs you to produce a drawer box, you can kill it. You can do it well. You can make a profit on it. You can do it right. You can improve it. You can say, oh, it takes me an hour to make a drawer box. What changes do I need to make to get that down to 30 minutes? Those are the things you can do. So, for example, I never knew any of this before I got coaching, I got a bookkeeper, and I implemented good systems. My current close rate on my sales is 38%. My average job size for this year is $2,800, which is up from $1,500 a year ago. So that's over, $1,300. I've increased my average sale price. Doing essentially the same work. Doing more upsells on a little bit higher end work, but overall, same product. I know that for the average job, my average material cost is about 25% of that job. Now, I know someone's like, hold on, there's no way, because some jobs material is a whole lot and some jobs material is nothing. Well, duh, but you track your numbers and you track your averages, and so as an average of all of my jobs, from the jobs that was like 90% materials to the jobs that were 10% materials, my average out of all those jobs is about 25%. For example, my gross profit right now for this year is averaging right around 40%. My goal is to hit 50% by the end of this year, and I'm bidding jobs at 50 and even 60% gross profit. I know what my monthly overhead is. I know what percentage of each job gets set aside in my account for taxes. I know that my average net profit is up from last year, and I have a net profit goal of, right now I'm setting aside 5% as a net profit. My goal is to hit 10% net profit next year, after all of taxes and other things are taken care of. And by knowing all these numbers, I'm able to focus on, wow, from setting up a system that my bookkeeper and business coach helped me set up that helps me track my my job costing, that helps me go through after I finish a job, because I'm now tracking my hours, I'm tracking my materials for that job, I'm tracking other expenses for that job, and then I'm job costing it against what I bid. I know that on one job this year, I made negative 29% gross profit on it. That means it cost me about 30% more than I charged for it just to break even. I lost a lot of money on that job. It really hurt that average. I know that on another job, I made 60% gross profit. I did really good on that because I looked at what I bid, what I estimated for time, what I estimated on materials versus the actual cost of goods sold of my labor, my materials, and now I have that data for bidding future jobs. So next time someone asks me to build this thing, I know, well, it costs this much to produce. So number 5 is stop stealing from your family. I'm gonna say it one more time. Stop stealing money from your family's table. In 5 years, that's been the hardest and one of the most painful lessons I have learned. We've all been there, right? You're working 60 hours a week. You are killing yourself. You're dead on your feet when you get home, and you're just a miserable person to be around because you're working yourself to death. You feel unappreciated, unloved because you come home beat and exhausted, and your wife and kids are glad you're finally home after 12 hours. And they're still, struggling to pay for groceries, making sure there's enough money to pay for the kids' school and daycare. All that comes from those other 4 things of getting bad advice, not seeking out good and wise counselors, not having a bookkeeper to keep track of your money, not knowing your numbers, and not having good systems. All lead you to steal from your family. You've heard it said, right? That it's either feast or famine in the trades, and I'm guilty of saying this as well, but that's one of the first things I heard when I started my business. So, well, the trades are feast and famine. You're either going to be making a lot of money or there's not going to be any work coming in. And then there's the other one of you either have money or you have time. You never have both at the same time. I've said and heard both of those phrases. That is a defeatist mentality. That is a fatalistic mentality, and that is not taking ownership of your own destiny and your own success. And that is a crap mindset. But let's say you're gonna go clean a gutter out, right? I know, because math is math, that it costs me to provide a decent middle class living for my family. It costs me $80 a man hour to run my business. That's what I need to charge to make a decent income. Not get rich, not live in gated communities, but to be solidly middle class. I need to charge $80 a man hour. I do not take home to my wife and kids $80 an hour, but that's my cost to run my business and make a profit. So I'm gonna go clean a gutter. Someone calls me up, I want you to come clean my gutters. Cool, I'll pay you $50 to come clean my gutters. It might take an hour to clean your gutters, but it's always gonna take at least an hour to do a job no matter what. So, $50. Well, my cost of doing business is $80. Well, it's not worth $80 for me to get it done. Then you don't get it done. Yes, there's a law of supply and demand and stuff, but it doesn't really work with service-based industries. Is the service has to be worth performing, or that service is just gonna go away. Like, we don't have telephone operators anymore because technology got to the point of it's not worth having those people anymore. And if it's not worth it for people to have their gutters cleaned for the $80 an hour that I need to charge to provide for my family, then I don't clean gutters and you don't get your gutters cleaned. So that's just the way it is. Sure, you can find the neighbor kid to do it for $20 or $30. Great, they need work. Build that work ethic. But don't shortchange yourself as a business owner. Don't stop stealing from your family and charge what you're worth. I could write a book on the lessons I've learned, a lot of them painful, but these are probably my top 5 in the 5 years I've been doing this. No, this is a long video, but I hope you learned something. So get coaching, hire a bookkeeper, build good systems, know your numbers, and charge what you're worth. Stop stealing from yourself and your family. You are a skilled craftsman. Own that, be proud of that, and charge accordingly. And forget about the cheap guys out there. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you disliked it, give it a dislike. Let me know in the comments either way what you liked or disliked, and let me know what you think. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.